ලීෆ් කාර් එකක් තියෙන අයටත් ගන්න ඉන්න අයටත් බැටරි ප්‍රශ්නයට එකම විසඳුම මොරලස්කම ලීෆ් හවුස්.
ගොවි පවුල් ලක්ෂ 20කට ඉඩම්වල හා ගොවි බිම්වල අයිතිය හිමි වේ.
It is my pleasure to welcome His Excellency Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, President of Sri Lanka. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Chairperson, Excellencies, esteemed delegates. At the outset, let me congratulate His Highness and the government of the United Arab Emirates for hosting COP28, and I extend to you my gratitude for your warm hospitality. The UNEP report of 2023, Broken Promises, warns that we are facing a 3 degrees Celsius increase in global temperature by end of the century. It is we, the developing countries, that are both disproportionately vulnerable and disproportionately impacted due to our lower adaptive capacity when it comes to investment in finance, technology and climate. The independent high-level expert group report on climate finance highlighted that at least a US $1 trillion per annum is required to combat climate change. The Transitional Committee on Operationalizing of Funding arrangements in its report of 4th November 2023 only calls for voluntary contributions to the loss and damage fund. The report makes no mention of the funds needed or who the contributors are. It is silent on the issue of global debt relief. These are interconnected. Nevertheless, 4 days later, the technical dialogue of the first global stocktake highlighted the requirement of a minimum of US $1 trillion per annum. To arrive at a consensus, not to take up a contentious issue, is not a solution. Who are we fooling? Climate justice must be available to all people and all countries. In this background, Sri Lanka will propose a resolution for a climate justice forum, which was agreed upon at the 5th Forum of the Ministers of Environmental Authorities of Asia and Pacific, to be moved at the UN Environmental Assembly of 6 February 2024. The Climate Justice Forum will provide us a platform for constructive and proactive engagements. The Secretary General of the UN highlighted that the era of global boiling has arrived. The enemy is at the gates. We are still procrastinating. We are still forming our battalions to take the fight to the enemy. Therefore, this fortnight is critical. It will determine whether we are capable of providing leadership. Let us prove we can do so by action and delivery. Sri Lanka is committed to 1.5 degree Celsius limit. We are facing a drastic situation. To avoid disaster, we must think outside the box. We must invest in the tropical belt to tackle the triple planetary crisis. The tropical belt constitutes 134 countries, covering 44% of Earth's surface, and will by 2030 be home to roughly 50% of the world's population. Most of the world's remaining primary forests are tropical, along with its coral reef systems. The rich biodiversity of the tropical belt enhances biological carbon sequestration and can shield the world from instabilities in weather. Furthermore, the energy generation potential from solar, wind and biomass are significantly higher in the tropics than that of other areas on the earth. Yet, anthropogenic activities in the tropical belt can easily lead to an imbalance in the equilibrium of this region. So much so that some scientists predict that the tropical rain belt could shift away from the equator by the 22nd century. Large-scale investments in renewable energy, pollution control, and nature-based solutions will lead to significant transformative changes in the entire world by enhancing carbon sequestration. Therefore, Sri Lanka and other concerned countries will convene a panel to report on the Tropical Belt Initiative, a multi-sector program distributed not only among the whole tropical region, but the whole world. As the current chair of the Indian Ocean Rim Association, Sri Lanka is focusing on the interdependence between the Indian Ocean and climate change. A healthy ocean generates oxygen and absorbs the carbon and heat produced from global warming. Mangroves and seagrasses sink more carbon than land forests. However, the rapid climate change is altering the marine environment with rising sea levels and temperatures. Ocean acidification, coral bleaching, habitat destructions, and extreme weather patterns. These phenomena have a direct impact on human lives by disrupting ocean biodiversity. The ocean depends on food patterns and coastal livelihoods. Member states and partners of IORA will work towards ensuring a sustainable Indian Ocean for future generations. The Tropical Belt Initiative and the Indian Ocean IORA program combined will form the largest global sink for carbon sequestration. Addressing the climate change needs up-to-date scientific knowledge and the effective use of these findings. Therefore, at COP27, I propose to establish an international climate change university for capacity building and advancing research necessary to contribute to the crucial efforts to limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. We will be operationalizing the ICCU next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency.